Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with a Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers Show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Say howdy, it's SteelFlyers.
Howdy! Thank you. This is your lovely co-host tonight, RoNece.
Good evening.
6 and... Oh, baby, here we go, Steelers!
I can't believe we won today. I just can't believe it. Updates on who got hurt and other surprise upsets in the NFL.
It was a tough one this week for PSU, and, man, we dropped game 1 to the Indiana. What went right and what went wrong? Very wrong.
Yeah. And then week 2 for Penn State is the big Ohio State game. And it's Ravens week for the Steelers coming up. It's going to be a tough weekend next weekend.
Yeah, this was a tough weekend too. So how about if we jump right into the Steelers?
Oh.
Man, 6-0.
That's amazing.
How about that? Congratulations, gentlemen.
That was a squeaker.
I'll say a squeaker or a doinker or off the goalpost or...
It's like in poker and in
wide right.
In poker, when you get that ace kicker and you're like, I'm going to win, and then there's this horrible bad beat and somebody beats you with like 2 2s or something ridiculous, and you're just like, I can't believe
3 2s.
It. Oh, I'm sorry, it was 3 2s. You're
right. 3
3
2s, yeah. You know, you're holding ace king, and ace 2 comes on the board, and you're thinking, yeah, all right, you bet heavy, and she's right along with you the whole time. Everything comes out okay. You got trip 3s, or you got a pair of aces, and she comes out with trip 3s or trip 2s.
And he went all in. Anyway, back to the NFL. I do feel bad, not really, for the Titans. I mean, they did put up a good game in some ways. Okay.
We did the game live with Perlo today, and I'll tell you, I was a little bit surprised at the game plan that they had. I don't think it was their game plan to play possum for the whole game and then in the fourth quarter just let everything go and start running Henry out to the wide to get him outside, because that was the only thing that was kind of sort of working. But I think it was more along the lines of Pittsburgh was starting to get wore down a little bit.
Yeah.
And started to let some of those plays go. And
I think they got a little overconfident, maybe.
That could be part of it as well, too.
They didn't push maybe as hard, but then, you got to play the full 60 minutes, right?
Exactly. And, look, Pittsburgh was crushing it going into the half.
Right.
Crushing it, and so, but you got to play the full 60 minutes, and I think our defense played really, really well in the first half, and I think that, and it was something that we even mentioned when we were doing the live. It was kind of a bend but don't break mentality, but I think we were bending way too much.
Yeah.
Because at one point, I believe we were up 24-7.
We were.
What? Now, okay, Tennessee 5-0.
They're a good team. Not
a slouch team. Okay, they didn't get to be 5-0 for nothing.
Right. It's not like they had an easy schedule or something,
Exactly. They played some tough games and beat some good teams. So it's not like it was, and this was the makeup game.
I know.
Right, that we were supposed to play in week 4, which we did actually predict that they would beat Tennessee, but we also predicted that this would be one of those tougher games.
And
that this was going to be, this was because of Derrick Henry and because of Tannehill and because of what Tennessee was bringing to the table, and now with Jadeveon Clowney in their lineup now too, and he he was in the lineup for them today too, and that was a little bit of a surprise because he missed some practice this past week too.
Didn't he kind of limp off the field at one point, or?
I'm not sure if I remember him doing. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He did limp off the field, but then he did come back in and play. Okay. But he did limp off the field at one point, and we'll get into some of that kind of good news, bad news for everybody involved here in that. We're just kind of getting over the fact that Pittsburgh is now 6-0.
I know. I mean, that's the first time it's ever happened, correct?
Franchise history. The first time ever in franchise history, I believe.
Even through the 70s dynasty?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the best we ever started was 5-0, and that was in 78. Okay, and that was our best start ever. Okay. Even the 76 team didn't start completely like that. You know what I mean? Now, I think the 76 team was a better team because we had more shutouts.
Okay.
But we lost to the Raiders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why we didn't make it any further. But I think the 76 team was a much better team than the 78 team or the 77 team or any of the other teams. I think that was the best defense we had.
Okay.
Yeah, 76. So, but this defense today, we had some standouts. Bud Dupree played really well. Spillane played really well. T.J. Watt played really well.
I was going to say that great sack by T.J. Watt.
Yeah, and Spillane, that hit on Derek Watt to stop him at the 2-inch yard line and drop him for I mean, he balled out on that one, man. He sacrificed it for the team, baby, because I don't think he knew where he was when he got up from that one. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll take that one from you. And he played really well today. I think he played really, really well. And also how Alex Highsmith played really, really well.
There was a goofy catch by Chase Claypool, too, where Ben was being harassed and he kind of just I really wish he would stop flinging it out like that because it's terrifying every time he does it.
It kind of is a little bit Brett Favre-esque. Just kind of flinging that's almost even like a Steve Young kind of just improvisingly throwing the ball out there like that to get. I mean, those are the players that I've seen in recent history that play like that have done those kinds of things. You know what I mean? That. Okay, Ben. Hey, how about if you pass the ball like you're supposed to?
Well, I understand that not every situation he can do that, but you got to make the decision when you're in the situation, but it's still terrifying because you're like, oh no, who's going to catch the ball?
Yeah, that's true. There are some things that I need to discuss right off the top.
All right, well, let's not go into the officials because...
yeah, I want to do that right now because I want to get it over with.
All right.
Okay. There was some good and bad and ugly in this game, and the ugly was the black and white stripes. Okay.
There was a couple of missed calls, I think.
There wasn't even missed calls. There were calls that were mistakes.
On both sides.
So, yeah, definitely. How about a few of the calls that should have gone against the hits on Ben?
Yeah, there was a couple I thought, were kind of late hits.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Late hits on Ben that were clearly not called. And the one where he was driven into the ground.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That was a blatant call that should have been called that was not. And then I think that there was one other one that was more of a penalty. The other two I'm gonna give up to the fact that he was running around and trying to, make a play and things like that. So, there's sometimes you're gonna have to do that give and take. But look, clearly the ball had clearly been out of his hands, and he was clearly driven into the ground.
Time to pull up a little bit or pull back a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I was just very disappointed in that as well. I thought the spot call, the last couple of plays there of the game, where the first down wasn't even measured, and he from what we could see from our vantage point, that clearly was short of the first down.
Again, we don't have the best view, but to me, it didn't look like he made it. But, you know.
Like I said, from our vantage point, it did not look like he made that first down, and they did not even measure. They didn't even check it or nothing, and that to me just was... I'm sorry, but I would much rather be on the side of caution.
Right, it wouldn't have hurt him to measure it.
To measure it, exactly. You know what I mean? And so that's just kind of the thing that's... It's like, really? Come on. I don't understand. And then you have all these, you know, every time something happens, you want to look at stuff. Well...
It does seem to be making the game much longer because now instead of just doing like the scoring plays where we do the automatic review, it's like almost every play. Oh, we've got to do a review of that. Well, you're not playing football then.
Yeah, the officials should not have to be going into conference every single time there's a hanky on the field.
No, what I thought was funny was, I forgot what play it was, but there was a flag thrown, and then all four refs got together, and I know they're not all refs, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah.
And they had to discuss the penalty. I'm like...
Yeah, why do you have to get together just to discuss, you know...
I mean, if you are... It just seemed that it took a long time for them to discuss the penalty.
Did you see it? No, I didn't see it. Did you see it? No, I didn't see it.
But I threw the flag, so we got to do something.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of what it felt like. Well, let's call it on them. All right, yeah. There were some calls against us that I just felt were very wrong. There were some calls that should have been called against Tennessee that weren't. There were some calls probably against us that probably weren't called.
Now, there was one call, I will say, for Tennessee that was really bad. That football, the touchdown one, where it was clearly a touchdown.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, you know what?
It wasn't. His knee was down.
That's
so
right.
That was actually, I mean, they did actually make some right calls.
I forgot that we went back and looked at that.
Yeah, we did go back and look at that, and that was actually a correct call because his knee was down before the ball was out.
Right.
Okay, so, you know. Okay, so that was, that's why I also wanted to say something else too, and please let us know about this because we've tried to do some research on this and we haven't been able to find anything. But according to the rules that's written by the NFL, it does state that there is a loss of down and a 10-yard from the previous spot if there's an intentional grounding, and there's supposed to be a loss of down. And from what I understand from the rules that we weren't able to find or anything like that, it states that there should also be a 10-second runoff if it happens within the last minute of the game.
Which there was the runoff.
There was the runoff, there was the 10-yard penalty, but there was not a loss of down.
I don't know. We got to dig more into that and see why. I think it's because it was in the timing that it was.
I don't know, but I think if you guys please let us know, because that to me just seems odd. Because every intentional grounding penalty that I've ever seen resulted in a loss of down, which meant that it would have been third down, which means that play that they ran, which was an incomplete pass, would have made it fourth down.
I understand that. Okay, we'll look into it and we'll come back and figure it out. Okay,
so
we'll keep digging on it because we haven't found the answer.
Yeah, but if anybody knows or sees or anything, please let us know because we would like to know what the real deal is with that. So, how about some good?
Wait, before you go on, how about that bizarre interception? The one that bounced off of Ben's...
No, the defender. It bounced off the defender's hand.
Yeah, and then it went up and just popped up, and it was like, really?
And of course, a Tennessee Titan player was there to scoop that up.
Right.
We couldn't have one of our guys there around to get
I mean, there was
down.
a couple of those plays where it was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, Ben went for the first 5 games with 1 interception.
Now we've got
10 touchdowns. Okay, so he had 3 today. But he also had 2 touchdowns. So that puts him at 4 interceptions with 12 touchdowns. Now, look, the interception that bounced off of a defender's hand and 20 feet in the air and then lands in another defender's hand, that's not Ben's fault per se because the ball got tipped or, up into the air and
Right. It was just weird.
Right. The other one that I also felt was not really that big of a deal was the one that he threw at the end of the half into the end zone when there was only like 8 or 9 seconds left.
Right.
And he just threw it into the end zone and the dude caught it and it was from Tennessee.
Right.
But that was the end of the half, you know what I mean?
There wasn't nothing he could do with it
right.
anyway.
And it was like, okay, whatever. But the other two I felt were because they were either tipped or something along those lines. They weren't necessarily Ben's fault per se,
right.
quote unquote, air quotes. So all things considered, though, 12 touchdowns for Ben on the year and 3 picks. So we'll take that.
Benny, and hey, we're still 6-0, so anything we're saying is just nitpicking at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Benny had a pretty good day all in all, 32 for 49. I mean, that's a lot of pass plays for Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, normally we don't throw the ball that often. You know what I mean? And
our defense managed to hold for most of the game. It kind of slacked off there a little bit at the end, maybe. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Connor had a pretty good day today, too. 20 carries for 82 yards. But he also had a few catches today, too. 3 catches for 29 yards. So that gave him a total of over 100 yards and a very Le'Veon Bell-esque day for Connor, which is exactly what we needed from Connor,
Exactly.
And we had Benny Snell came in and had 2 carries for 2 yards, but he also had the 1-yard touchdown run for us. So that was good. We did have that one end around from Anthony McFarland for 6 yards and another one from Jalen Samuels as well for a couple yards. And then, how about Juju today?
Yeah.
Boy, he made some tough catches and got hammered.
Yeah, he did.
There was one play there where I thought he wasn't getting up. Because I thought, woo, that was a woo hit on Juju. Yep. So, but he had 9 catches for 85 yards, and he did very well today. I was very impressed.
I think he did. I think this is one of his best games so far this season.
I agree. He didn't have any drops. He caught everything that was thrown to him. You know what I mean? He blocked really well. So, also, Dante Johnson, welcome back to the lineup after missing the last 2 games. He balled out, too, 9 catches for 80 yards, and he had the 2 touchdown catches. However, he, towards the end of the game there, tweaked his knee, or it looked like he hyperextended it or flexed it or something, and he did get up, but he did limp off the field, and he did not return.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right, and he's already coming back from a knee injury as well, too, so I don't know. That's not going to bode well for him. We'll hopefully see everything goes well with him.
Yep, I agree.
So Chase Claypool came in and played very well in his stead, so I'm not really... I'm okay with the guys we have in the room.
I don't know. So, talking about injuries... there were some other significant injuries around the NFL today. Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we pretty much talked about that. But I'll tell you what. How about, before we get into injuries, how about if we come right back?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll be right back. Hello. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers podcast, and one of the main reasons I even have a podcast is because of the folks at Anchor.fm. The easy-to-use website helped even a beginner like me get my podcast up and running in no time flat. Best of all, it was free. Record your podcast directly into Anchor, or drag and drop one you've already made with your device. It's as easy as that. Best of all, Anchor does all the work by posting your podcast into the podcast universe from Spotify to Radio Public. Here's the best part. Anchor will help get you sponsorship and get paid when listeners hear your podcast. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. So what are you waiting for? All right, welcome back. So other injuries. Man, I'll tell you, this was not a good week for the NFL. Definitely not a good week for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, they lost today, didn't they?
Yeah, they didn't just lose to Washington 25-3. They lost. Andy Dalton was on the end of a concussion. and is in concussion protocol. It was a pretty nasty hit.
I feel for them because we went through the same thing last year. I mean, it's almost scarily
down to
similar.
their third-string quarterback to Dallas Cowboys, and I feel bad for the players, but not for the team.
I feel bad for the players.
I said, I feel bad for the players, but not for the team.
I do kind of feel bad for the team because I know how frustrating it is.
Nope.
I mean, we did almost the exact same thing. Our franchise quarterback goes out. Our second string goes out with a concussion, and now you're going to be on the third string, and it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel for them. I'm not hoping them any luck, but
no, I pray for the players that are injured.
Right.
Okay, and we hope that they have a speedy recovery. And speaking of other players that are injured, Odell Beckham went down with a potentially a knee injury today.
Yeah.
That did not look good either.
No.
That might be a potentially season-ending injury there for Mr. Beckham. Even though Cleveland did pull the win out today, beating Cincinnati barely.
Yeah.
But what was that, 37-35 or something like that?
Yeah, something. I don't know the exact score off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I just know the Browns won.
Yeah, right. So, but, the fact that Beckham Jr. is hurt, you know what I mean? That doesn't bode well for them going forward.
He is not enjoying his time in Cleveland at all, is he?
No, he hasn't really. No. And that's the other thing, too, with Andy Dalton. They brought him in as to be a backup for, Dak Prescott, and he went down 2 weeks ago with season-ending ACL.
Well, that's what I mean, man. It's just not a good... I think it's the whole... there's reasons, we know the reasons, but it's been a very injury-prone year so far, I think.
Yeah, and then you also have the Jacksonville Jaguars running back, Raquel Armstead, is battling COVID and is expected to miss the rest of the season as well, too. That wasn't an injury that happened on the field, unfortunately, but that's something that he's going to have to be dealing with as well, too. So we pray for those kind of folks and hope that everything goes well. And, so, we had some injuries, and then, also the injury to Dante Johnson not returning to the game for the Steelers, and then so that was kind of a tough deal for us on that. So, but man, I'll tell you what a great week to be a fan.
Be a good week for cardiologists this week, man, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's for sure. You can't go wrong on that. So there's a couple things that I would like to talk about now, and that would be the Penn State game.
Oh no.
I mean, unless you want to.
No, let's do the Penn State thing.
Yeah, let's get it over with, because I'm acrimonious with furious anger at yet again black and white striped shirts.
Yeah. And I have a point to make about that, but that call was ridiculous. I know that they're saying that there wasn't enough evidence either way to call it, so they went with the call in the field, which is what they're supposed to do, but that call was a bad call. I'm sorry.
Not enough evidence when all of the world can see that ball was clearly out of bounds in the white paint along with the player. Look, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Penn State fan or anything like that, but I'm here to tell you that just is wrong through and through, in my opinion.
What was the betting site that gave everybody back their bet?
Yeah, was it like, I can't even remember.
I can't remember which one it was.
DraftKings or something?
Yeah, like they said...
Yeah, they gave back their bet. Why would you give back bets? Why?
Because they couldn't...
Why?
Yeah.
That is the most redonkulous thing I have seen in a little while in sports.
Yeah, it was DraftKings, by the way. DraftKings will reportedly refund losing Penn State bets after a controversial finish. So if DraftKings is like, okay, yeah, we can't really tell who won the game either, so I just find that amusing.
There's also a couple other things, too, that we're going to say as well. That being said, with the officiating being just utterly atrocious in that game.
It wasn't the only example of bad call.
I am speechless. I said I'm acrimonious. What? The black and white... Oh. Okay. Let's get into the real meat of what's going on here. Penn State should not have scored to go up 28-21 at the end of the game with 1:41 left in the game.
Yeah, the game plan kind of got thrown out when we scored the touchdown. And I think James Franklin's play. I heard one of the announcers say that his plan was to run the clock a little bit more and then go for a win. And I think that if they had done that, it probably would have ended in regular time. Not in overtime, but
Well, here's the thing: all they really needed was a first down.
Right.
Because if they would have gotten a first down, they could have gotten a first down without scoring. And if they would have gotten that first down, then Indiana would have had to use their final timeout. Okay? And that would have put the clock at like 1:30, something like that. All Penn State would have had to do was kneel down.
Right. For
the next 2 plays, and then kick a field goal, and boom, you walk out of there, you win.
Right.
That's not what happened.
No. That
would have been a nice story for them.
Yeah.
But that's not how that happened.
Yeah.
As it turns out, we went to overtime, and, look, Penn State should have, even if after they scored, they should have been able to hold Indiana to keep that score in order. There was less than a minute 40 left in the game, and they should have been able to hold them in the final 2 minutes there, but they weren't able to do that. They allowed Indiana to just march right down the field and score and tie up the game.
Right.
Okay, and so that is basically what lost us the game right there.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't really matter per se that we scored. It matters the fact that we scored and then didn't stop them.
Exactly. That was scoring. The other half missing. Like, we could score, but we needed to not let the other team score.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. There was some calls that I just felt were very, very, very blatantly wrong. I really I'm so tired of talking about black and white officials and folks. I know it's a tough deal. I know it's a hard job to do, but you've got multiple eyes on the field. You've got video replay. What else do you need? How about a slap upside the head?
No.
I mean, what?
No. We're not slapping anybody.
We're not advocating for you to slap anybody.
Please, no
slapping of the black and white jerseyed folks. We know it's a tough job. We do appreciate everything that you do, but really, it's called glasses.
And I understand we're seeing this from our perspective, and I take a deep breath and go, the other team is going to say the same. Other team's fans are going to say the same thing, that the calls were terrible.
When the commentators are saying that, oh man, that's a really bad call, and they're supposed to be completely and utterly objective. Sorry, they're supposed to be completely and utterly objective and not be favoritive to one team or another. And a lot of times we don't find that to be the case. But when commentators come out and say things,
when they notice it and they comment on it,
then that means that they're seeing, and they have much better views of things than we do. They actually have monitors that they're looking at in front of them that actually gives them certain views that, now they don't necessarily get the same view that, say, the officials get per se, but pretty 90% close.
Right, exactly. So
it's just pitiful. Look.
We should have been much more dominant in that game, and we weren't. And, I think that
Sean Clifford did not have his best day.
No, and we just needed to. It was a first game back, and maybe we're just a little rusty.
I think that might have something to do with it too.
We're still trying to work through some things that maybe we weren't ready for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have the time to work out that rust because we got Ohio State next week.
Welcome to the new Big Ten schedule show. By the way, I believe this is the first time that Indiana has actually beaten a top 10 team.
It's since it's been a long time. I can't remember.
93?
I think so, maybe.
Or no, since long before that. But this is Coach Allen from the Hoosiers. Look, give credit to the Hoosiers.
Hey, man.
Okay, you look, their quarterback, Penix, played really well, okay? And their guys played really well. They had a great mix of Stevie Scott. He scored the winning points, or not the winning points, but he helped them to score a lot of points. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Simpson James was also good for them, too. So, congratulations to Indiana. More power to you. Blah, blah, blah. Yakety schmackety.
The other big thing that I heard about this weekend was Alabama's player that broke his ankle. Jalen I'm going to say it wrong. Jalen Waddle? Waddle.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't pretty neither.
That poor kid. It was the opening drive,
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't, that just... Well,
prayers to him and his family, but my gosh.
Yeah, that's just not pretty.
Season ending, you didn't even get to finish one play,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really bad for Waddle, not being able to play anymore after today, and I believe they said he's going to need surgery on that ankle.
And he has a high ankle sprain also.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, so, too bad for him, but, prayers for him. But Alabama is definitely rolling. I believe they are now 6-0 now.
Okay.
5-0, 6-0, something like that. So Alabama is just the next man up mentality, and they're rolling along. Speaking of rolling along and next man up mentality, Penn State's looking at Ohio State coming into Happy Valley next week.
Season opener at home.
Yep.
Our home opener.
Home opener, yep. And playing like we did this week against Indiana, if we play like that against Ohio State, it's going to be a long, ugly game.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Ohio State's just going to come in there and mop us up.
Yeah, we need to...
Quite frankly, I think that's what's going to happen anyway.
We need to put some stuff together and work out some kinks.
We need to work on penalties. We need to work on consistency. We need to work on, consistency. I know I said that twice, but that's what we need to work on. We need to get better. And more consistent, because if we are just able to stay consistent and stay holding the line, there was flashes of good. Look, we lost some guys last year from the draft, and you can't expect to come in and lose guys like that. Fairmouth had a pretty good game today, for the game. Fairmouth, our tight end, had a pretty good game. He had a couple catches and a touchdown. So, really well played for him. I think he's going to be a top draft pick this coming NFL season. Yeah. And also Penn State missing Micah Parsons, who opted out for the season because of the pandemic, and also missing Journey Brown, our running back, who's out for undisclosed injury. So whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that really, those two players really hurt not being there. You know what I mean? And I think that made the difference in the game.
I do too.
Yeah. With those two players being those different maker players, I think they were definitely the difference in the game, and they should have. I think we could have won if they were playing. So. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. So.
Thanks, Forrest.
Yeah. Ohio State coming into Happy Valley, and man, good luck, guys. We'll be rooting you on, and we'll be praying, and we'll be shooting for the stars.
It'll be so weird not to see a whiteout. You know what I mean?
I know. My gosh, man.
Because that would be a whiteout game.
Oh, that would be beyond whiteout, but and that would be the second largest city in Pennsylvania. When home games happen in Penn State, that becomes like their largest, one of their largest states or cities when home games are there, because of the number of people in the stadium is over 109,000. So, good luck to Penn State. It was a tough loss. So, well, here we go.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? The way I look at it is, we got football. We got Penn State football, and, it may not be in the ideal start, but it's just the start, right?
That's true. Hey, how about that? We actually were in week 7 now of the NFL season, which I can't believe we're this far along already. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. And teams are starting, those first 4 games, because we didn't have any preseason,
in the NFL.
And now, yeah. Right, so now you get past those first couple of games now, and you start getting teams now that start identifying themselves. And so it's definitely going to be boding well here. So, and in the fact that Big Ten now has finally come out and started playing, Ohio State, I think, is going to either stay or move up in the rankings, because they crushed Nebraska, 52-17.
I don't even think crush is annihilated. Is more like it.
I'll just say crushed and go with that. And they're probably going to be serious favorites going into the game against Penn State, but especially after Penn State was ranked 8th before they even started, and then lost a nail-biter, controversial, redonkulous call against us that just was... Anyway, so enough about that.
You did much better than I thought you would. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. So how about that? Look, here's the thing. I think that Penn State's got a lot of things to work on, but we might be okay. We might be losing the first 2 games, but I think we might be able to turn around and still be able to make hay for the rest of the season. But we'll see after this game against Ohio State, because that's going to be the big test right there.
Right.
So
that's going to be the big one.
Exactly, for sure. And just want to do a quick little preview here that we got Pittsburgh coming up against the Ravens. And that's going to be at Heinz Field. Or no?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay. Don't remember. Well, how's this for you? Okay. It's going to be a darn tootin' good game. Okay. No matter what happens.
Yeah, no matter where it is, we know.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be at the Ravens.
At the Ravens.
Yeah, so it's going to be in Baltimore.
Okay.
So, how about that? Don't really matter where it's going to be, but that should be a good one. Just for some quick updates on some NHL updates and maybe even some Flyer updates here, which we don't really have too many Flyer updates right now, other than the fact that Nolan Patrick skated in a scrimmage this past week.
Yeah.
Always
good to see him out there on skates and getting our hopes up.
I think this is boding very well. He's up there skating in Manitoba, where he's from, and they're playing little scrimmages up there and whatever. And I think this is boding well for us as far as the Flyers. I think seeing him skate, I don't care if he's not hitting anybody or anything like that, and he's not playing at an NHL level, but the fact that he's out there on skates and doing those kinds of things is definitely a step in the right direction.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So
we'll take any positive we can get.
Exactly. We'll definitely take any positives we can get for sure. So I think Chuck Fletcher might have a couple more moves up his sleeve. We'll see how that goes. We got potentially the season starting January 1st. The announcement came out that the season is going to start January 1st. And then they also made another announcement, too, that was not surprising. Most everybody was pretty much expecting the fact that they were going to come out and announce that the All-Star Game and the Winter Classic has been canceled or postponed, for this year.
I mean, we got such a condensed season that, we...
Ain't going to be able to take the time to do it, sorry.
Right.
And I'm going to be quite surprised if we get 82 games in.
I don't think we're going to be able to. I really don't.
No.
I just...
Not starting January 1st.
That's so many games a week and so many just potentials for disaster. And
exactly.
Not only, normal, injuries or, fatigue, wearing your players out, but you still have COVID to worry about. So what happens, like we're having with the NFL right now, where you have a team that's positive and they're supposed to have a 4-game week?
Yeah,
it's what happens then.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't necessarily reschedule games now because there's no wiggle room at all, none, zero. You know what I mean? So you have zero wiggle room. Now what are you going to do now? Now you're going to be. So what I think is going to probably end up happening is they might have a potentially bubble system where the metropolitan teams will play their games, say the first 20 games.
Yeah.
They'll do their games between the metropolitan in 1 or 2 stadiums.
That's going to be asking a lot of the players.
Well, but I mean, that might be how I have no idea. I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm just taking a stab. I have no clue how they're going to do it. And neither does the NHL. And I think they're just kind of waiting and seeing how things go. And look, if there is some kind of... And I think here's what's going to end up happening. I think because of the treatment regime...
Okay.
Of the COVID is what's going to be the determining factor because we're starting to see more and more fans are coming out into the stadiums now. More and more fans are coming out to the races. More and more fans are coming out to the college football games. At the Indiana game, they allowed 1,000 tickets to be done for the Indiana side and the Penn State side. Now, it was only for family.
Right, but they still had people out there.
But they still had 1,000 tickets for each side. Okay, there was people in the stands.
Okay, well, we're going through all of this for the first time, all of us together, so we don't know what's going to happen.
That's right, and you're just going to have to learn to deal with it as it comes.
Right.
This is how it's going to have to be, you know what I mean? And I'm very confident in things moving forward. Because even though the NFL has dealt with some teams and some issues where teams have tested positive, where they've had to completely re-change schedules. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they've been able to do it. It's like one of those, okay, we're hitting a bump and we're riding the bump. We're riding the bump and we're riding, okay, it's coming smoother again. And all right, cool, we're riding again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's what's kind of going on here. And they might end up being the model for teams traveling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To where if you make sure you have all of your players on your team test negative, and all the teams that you're going to be playing against are testing negative, and you don't expose them per se to the fans, which, okay, that's the one beautiful thing about hockey is that the fans are much closer to the players and have much greater access to the players than they do in football. You know what I mean? So you might find where there's those where the entrances where the players come out. Mm-hmm. You know, there might be plexiglass now that will prevent fans from touching the players or, doing the high fives and the handshakes and stuff on the way out and on the way back in between periods and stuff like that. So we might see that at the beginning. But then if that's what we have to do to get fans in the stands, okay, whatever.
As long as we just got to keep people safe, that's all.
Exactly. So that's the thing, is keeping people safe.
So can I tell you one unrelated thing that I'm very excited about this week?
Oh, do tell.
Guess what's coming back on TV with new episodes this week?
Do tell.
The Price is Right.
Congratulations.
With no audience.
No audience, really?
Socially distanced contestants.
Oh, brother. Okay.
And I'm so excited because...
Okay. That's completely unrelated and has nothing to do with what we're talking
I know, but it's exciting. It's like... I don't know how... It's like something normal's coming back.
Well, you've watched how many months of reruns, so...
Yeah.
All right. All I can say is thank God for sports. Because it's come back and, it's been able to be more of a regular kind of occurrence, and it kind of makes things feel a little bit more normal and regular, you know what I mean? And so having those kinds of things come back is something that is part of making things feel normal and regular.
And,
Look,
it's reassuring and
is.
it's silly, but it made me smile.
There you go. And today made me smile today, too, in spite of how wretched and horrible the officiating was. Pittsburgh is now 6-0, and that's a great thing, and we're looking forward to next week. We're looking forward to a lot of great things. Speaking of looking forward to great things, we got a new show.
Yeah, you do.
How about that? It's called the Hockey Writers Inc. INK, as in ink,
Like pen ink.
Like pen ink or tattoo ink or whatever.
It's not funny if you have to explain the joke.
Yeah, I know. But that's going to be with Lance Green, the writer extraordinaire. So how about that? That first show was premiered today, so please go check that out. That's on the video section, and it's also on the YouTube channel as well. It's www.steelflyers.com/videos, and click on the latest one there, and you'll be able to see the new show there with the Hockey Writers Inc. and with Lance and me, and we get into his latest article. So that's awesome sauce on that. Also, some updates coming up to real soon too, especially on the website. Some new pages being added and some new content being added as well too. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, RoNece. It's been another grand pleasure.
We are so very lucky today.
I'll say, but we'll take it.
We'll take the win, man.
Yep, we'll take them all day long. We'll take the win. Pittsburgh going 6-0 for the first time. How about that? Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.